Good evening. Well, as the full view went to air tonight, you heard the news that Chris Maroleng, the Chief Operating Officer of the SABC, has had his contract terminated with immediate effect. The decision came as 8 new members of the board have officially taken office, meaning that the board now has 12 members for the first time in several months. As a result, the board of the SABC is now able to take legally binding decisions. In other words, it can form a quorum. Bongumusa Makhathini has been retained as the chairman of the board of the SABC, and he's here for you now. Mr. Makhatini, good evening to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening, and good evening to your viewers at home.
Let's get to the burning issue. Why have you fired Chris Maroleng?
As a board, basically, what is important for us is to make sure that we drive consequences management and we treat people equally regardless of rank or level. So what happened, basically, the COO was subjected to an independent disciplinary process. And coming out of that process, we got the findings and the sanctions, and those were put for consideration by the full correcting board this morning. And then the board reviewed it and took a decision to accept the recommendations, which is basically to terminate the contract of employment with the COO with immediate effect.
Are you able to tell us what he's actually been found guilty of?
I may not be able to give the details, but suffice to say that there were 3 main charges that he was found guilty on, and all those 3 individuals recommended him to be dismissed with immediate effect. So basically that's what happened. And due to confidentiality arrangements between us and the employees and the employer, we're not in a position to divulge further details beyond what I've just confirmed.
Okay, so you can tell us it was 3 counts. You can tell us that each one of them could have resulted in being fired on its own, but you can't actually tell us what it was.
That's it.
This decision was made at literally the first meeting of the new board. Are you worried that he's going to challenge you in court? In fact, I think he's already given an indication this evening that he might do that.
It is within his right to seek whatever kind of help or take any other option that's available to him legally. That is within his right. But as a board, we've been engaging on the matter. I mean, the first email that went out to the board for them to review the issues around the COO went out on the 15th of April. On the 17th, after we got the sanction, another email went out with further details. So we may have been meeting for the first time, but the information that was put in front of us and the fact that we had an independent disciplinary process chaired by an independent chair, and the arguments that we put there suffice and were sufficient enough for us as a board to reach the decision that we've reached. And it is important for us as the board to bring back stability in this organization and start by driving consequences management and bringing order and dealing with all irregularities and dealing with all instances where basically there's disregard of policies and our own procedures. And we must be seen to be doing the right thing to restore the credibility and to get our people excited that there is future for the SABC, and start by us cleaning house.
All right, I realise that because of legal reasons you're not going to say much more, although it might be fun to push you on it. Let's just look at some of the other priorities. Okay, your first meeting, first time you've been quorate in what, I think 4 or 5 months. I would imagine your first priority after dealing with the Chief Operating Officer, Chris Maroleng, is around making sure that the SABC has enough money to keep operating.
That's correct. In fact, we're still busy with the induction process, but the issue around government guarantee and the financial sustainability, we are grateful for the effort and the contribution by the Minister. She's helped put together a team made up of DOC, National Treasury and the SABC, and there's great progress in that area. And we're looking really positive to get financial help. She's actually put a request for 3.2 billion rand to help us settle some of the outstanding debts that we have, and also basically help us procure local content, which is critical for us to turn around this place.
Is that 3.2 billion rand as a bailout
interim,
or as a loan guarantee?
That will be an interim kind of financial help that we're looking at.
So, sorry, a loan guarantee or a
government guarantee?
It's a loan guarantee. Okay. I mean, we had been expecting, well, I think many SABC employees had been expecting that there would be a bailout or a loan guarantee in the budget, and that didn't happen. You're now saying that we're actually much closer to that.
We are much closer.
Just after the elections, do you think? Okay.
We may not have specific in terms of time when it's going to land, but if you look at the process that we're embarking on, there's clear things that we're working on to make sure that is delivered.
Okay, I mean, at the moment, how difficult is it for the SABC to pay its bills? It seems like it's very difficult.
It is very difficult. At the moment, the only thing we are able to pay is the salaries of our employees, because they are priority number 1 for us. But after paying salaries, really we have to negotiate with, the municipality. There's a lot of other things that we're not able to pay. That's why this 3.2 billion rand will assist us to settle some of the debts that we're sitting with.
Okay, there are various things and various things that are coming as a result of all of this. One of the key dynamics might be the relationship between the management of the SABC, so the executives, the board, and then the Department of Communications, and that would include the Minister, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams. How would you describe the working relationship with the Minister?
We had a very good session this morning. We met with the Minister, and we've all committed to work together and to make sure that we support what needs to be done, because the reality is we all committed to turning around the SABC, making the SABC sustainable financially, but also dealing with all other issues that has led us to where we are. Part of the major challenges that has got SABC in this financial difficult position is regulatory and policy issues, which the Minister have a very important role to play in helping us deal with those issues. But of course, there are other issues around how do we look at other avenues, other streams of revenue generation, looking at channel carriage and coming up with other innovative ways to make money, but also driving efficiencies, where we can be able to save more money. I mean, it is impressive that with the turnaround strategy that we've put together, that was put together by management, approved by the board, we've managed to save about 800 million already. So it shows that the turnaround strategy is bearing positive results, and it is really looking positive.
I mean, one of the problems was, as a board, you weren't allowed to make decisions. Now you can make decisions because you have a quorum. Does that mean we're likely to see some of the sort of pent-up decisions coming through?
Definitely. I mean, with this reconstituted board, with their deep skills and expertise in the areas that are critical for us to be able to enrich our decision, enrich our discussions, and make sure that our deliberations are balanced and are informed by expert input coming from all board members. It is very exciting, and people should look forward to a real good momentum and real zest and push to do the right thing.
Before the previous members resigned, when you last had a quorum, you had started the Section 189 process. And I speak obviously as an employee of the SABC, but let me be as objective as I can here. You were talking about retrenchments. Now that period lapsed under the law, it had to lapse. Now you have a board in place again. Are you going to restart that process?
So you will know that what we're busy now, we're busy with the skills audit that came as a result of the engagement that we had with different stakeholders. And we felt it was necessary for us to take that input and really look at making sure that we do the right thing in terms of doing the skills audit and doing what needs to be done. But certainly once that process is done, there will be proper engagement with the shareholder representative, with the unions and our employees, because we've got to take our employees to our confidence, and they need to understand what we're doing, where we are, and why we're doing what we're doing.
I mean, the previous board came to a decision and a determination that the SABC couldn't survive with the number of people that it had. Presumably, even though it's a different board, it will be the same numbers they'll be looking at. They'll have to come to the same decision.
The facts never change. Reality is, when you look at your balance sheet, you're looking at the challenges that we face as an organization. Like I've said before, that it is important for us to be honest about reviewing every aspect of our business and making sure that we're investing money in the things that are critical. For an example, we need to be investing money in issues of content procurement. We also need to be investing money in infrastructure, technology, and making sure that as the organization, we are geared to be able to survive under the new challenges, because we are faced with real challenges, competition, and a lot of changes that requires us to evolve. And as the SABC, we've got to make sure that we are geared and we are positioned better and ready to be able to face our new challenges.
Okay, so what comes next? Are you expecting to take any drastic action or drastic decisions before the elections, or are you going to let the SABC focus on doing that first, reporting on that first, and then sort of bringing changes through the pipeline?
When you run a business, the elections, it's a national thing that will continue. We expect and will. The team has done a great job, I must say. Management, together with all the people that are involved, have done an excellent job in covering the elections, and we commend them for that. And we'll continue doing what needs to be done. And the elections really won't affect decisions that needs to be taken and doing the right things as the board, working with the executive and the employee and our employees.
There will be some people, there are always some critics, they will say that we shouldn't have an SABC. What would your response be to them? And where I'm going with the question is your vision for the future of the SABC in public broadcasting.
The truth of the matter is South Africa cannot underplay the importance of having a publicly owned and a publicly run public broadcaster. If you consider that there's over 30 million South Africans who depend on SABC 5 channels that we have and 19 radio stations. So we have a very pivotal role to play. And if you look at our mandate, nobody can play that role the way SABC is able to do. And at the end of the day, no matter what happens, we need an SABC. It is important for our democracy. It is important for inspiring and empowering our citizens and driving the education mandate that we have. So at the end of the day, we've got to get SABC to work, because there is no way we can rely on privately owned broadcasters, because they will not be able to fulfill the mandate that we fulfill.
Bongumusa Makhathini, thank you very much indeed, sir, for coming in tonight, the chair of the board of the South African Broadcasting Corporation. Just to let you know, there are, of course, two sides to the story. We have reached out tonight as the Full View to Chris Maroleng in the moments just after his contract was terminated as Chief Operating Officer of the SABC. There's been no response from him to our overtures so far tonight. SABC Makhathini has more news for you.